So you've hit 60, or you're getting close, and that old itch for adventure is back. Or maybe it never left. Either way, you're probably wondering, am I too old to start sailing? Let me tell you right off the bat, you're not. I've met folks who hoisted their first sail at 70 and never looked back. I've also seen people in their 30s who gave it up because they thought they were too busy. Truth is, 60 isn't the finish line. It can be the starting gun for one heck of a new chapter. Whether you've been dreaming of this for decades, or the idea just came to you after your last workday, this is the perfect time to explore what sailing can bring to your life. Today, I'm breaking down what really matters when it comes to starting your sailing journey after 60. We'll talk health, learning curves, fears, the right kind of boats, money stuff, community, and even the kind of freedom you can't find on land. So grab a cup of coffee or pour yourself something a little stronger, and let's talk about why 60 might just be the best age to hoist your first sail. Now, let's be real. Sailing does ask something of your body, but it's not the same as climbing Everest. At 60, you're not expected to haul sails like a deckhand in a storm. Modern boats are a lot friendlier than they used to be. Think electric winches, autopilots, and roller furling systems, all designed to save your back and knees. That said, staying active helps. You don't need to be in marathon shape, but basic mobility and balance go a long way. Walking daily, doing some stretching, or even light strength training can make hoisting a sail or stepping onto a dock feel easy instead of daunting. What surprises many folks is that sailing often improves your fitness. You move naturally, use your core, and stay mentally sharp while trimming sails or plotting a course. It's like exercise without the gym. If you've got health concerns, heart conditions, joint issues, anything like that, it's smart to check in with your doctor. But don't let age itself be the thing that stops you. I've seen sailors in their 60s and 70s who are more agile and alert than folks half their age. Sailing keeps you alive in all the best ways. Starting something new at 60 can feel intimidating, but sailing, at its heart, is a skill you build through time, not age. In fact, older learners often bring more patience, focus, and caution to the process than younger folks. You're not trying to prove anything, you're just trying to learn and enjoy it. There are tons of great ways to start. Local sailing schools often offer beginner courses, some even tailored to older adults. A weekend course can teach you the basics, and from there it's all about getting on the water regularly. You might start as crew on someone else's boat or charter a small one with an instructor. Books, YouTube channels, and online forums can also help, but nothing replaces hands-on experience. Every sail teaches you something about wind, weather, gear, and even yourself. Most of all, don't rush. Nobody expects you to master tacking and docking in a week. Make mistakes, ask questions, laugh when things don't go as planned. Learning to sail at 60 isn't just about knowing the ropes, it's about falling in love with the process and giving yourself permission to be a beginner again. Everyone has a few jitters when starting something new, especially something as different as sailing. And at 60, those fears can feel a little heavier. Fear of injury, fear of looking foolish, fear of being alone out there. That's all normal. One of the biggest worries I hear is, what if I can't physically handle it? Truth is, you're probably stronger than you think. Most modern boats are built to make sailing easier than ever. You don't have to climb the mast or reef in gale force winds. You can sail comfortably and safely at your own pace. Another common fear is being too old to learn new skills. But remember, sailing isn't about youth. It's about mindset. I've seen first-timers at 65 dock a boat with more grace than some hotshot 20-something trying to impress a date. And then there's the fear of the unknown. Navigation, weather, systems on board. That stuff feels big at first. But with a good teacher, a calm approach, and the right safety nets in place, it becomes second nature. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's just a signal you're doing something brave, and often something worth doing. The boat you choose can make all the difference, especially when you're starting at 60. You don't need something massive or flashy. What you really want is a boat that's comfortable, safe, and easy to handle. Ideally, one that fits your style, your strength, and your budget. Many older sailors opt for something between 25 and 35 feet. That size is manageable solo or with a partner, yet big enough to sleep aboard and take on longer trips. Look for features like a shallow draft, so you can anchor closer to shore, simple rigging, and good visibility from the helm. Comfort matters too. Make sure you can move easily around the cockpit and below deck. Low steps, grab handles, and a user-friendly layout can save you a lot of strain. Boats like a Flicka 20 or a Catalina 30 often come up in these conversations for a reason. They're forgiving and cozy without feeling cramped. Also, don't be afraid to go used. A well-maintained older boat can give you years of joy without the new boat price tag. And remember, the best boat isn't the biggest or fastest. It's the one that gets you out on the water with a smile. Let's talk money, because sailing can be as affordable or as expensive as you make it. And at 60, especially if you're retired or semi-retired, every dollar counts. The good news? You don't need to be rich to start sailing. Buying a solid used boat can cost less than a new car. If you're okay with something simple, there are seaworthy boats under 30 feet that you can snag for well under $20,000. Maintenance, storage, insurance, it all adds up, but it's manageable with smart planning. Marina fees vary depending on your location, and you can often save big by choosing a mooring or even anchoring out. Doing your own basic maintenance, like changing oil or cleaning the hull, can also stretch your budget farther. And if you're just testing the waters, chartering or joining a sailing club lets you sail without full ownership. Sailing is one of those rare hobbies that can scale with your budget. You can go bare bones or add luxuries over time. Either way, what you get back in peace, freedom, and sheer joy, that's worth every penny. One of the best parts about getting into sailing at 60, you're not doing it alone. The sailing world is full of welcoming folks from all walks of life, and age often works in your favor. People respect the courage it takes to start something new later in life, and many are in the same boat, literally. Marinas and yacht clubs often have tight-knit communities. You'll find folks eager to share tips, lend a hand, or just swap stories over a cold drink. Don't be shy. Introduce yourself, ask questions, and offer to crew. That's how many friendships begin on the docks. There are also online communities, forums, Facebook groups, YouTube channels, where you can connect with sailors across the globe. Some groups are even dedicated to late-in-life sailors, so you'll be chatting with people who understand your exact journey. And then there are rendezvous, regattas, and cruiser meetups. These are gold mines for meeting like-minded adventurers. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or just someone to share an anchorage with, the sailing community has a place for you. Out on the water, the age on your passport matters a lot less than the smile on your face and your willingness to share the adventure. One of the biggest gifts you get at 60, especially if you're retired or semi-retired, is time. And sailing is one of the best ways to turn that time into something magical. No more asking for vacation days, no more watching the clock. You're finally free to set your own pace. You don't have to race across oceans, unless you want to. You can spend a lazy afternoon sailing to a nearby cove, or take off for a week just because the weather looks nice. Sailing gives you back control over your time, and the rhythm of the sea starts to replace the noise of schedules. There's also freedom in choosing where you wake up. Maybe today, it's a sleepy fishing town. Tomorrow, a sandy anchorage with dolphins cruising past your bow. That kind of variety is hard to beat. And you know what's funny? Once you taste that kind of freedom, it's hard to go back to the old way of living. Sailing opens doors to new places, new people, and a new sense of self. At 60, when many are slowing down, you'll be picking up speed in the best possible way. If you ever doubt whether 60 is too old to start sailing, just listen to the stories out there. I've met a 70-year-old woman who learned to sail after her retirement party. She now single-hands a Pacific Seacraft 31 up and down the coast like it's no big deal. There's a couple in their mid-60s who sold everything and now live aboard their Beneteau 36 in the Caribbean, loving every sunset. These aren't rare cases, they're happening more and more. Retirement doesn't mean retreating anymore. For a lot of people, it's a green light to finally chase that dream they put off while raising families or building careers. I once shared an anchorage with a guy named Don who started sailing at 62. He'd never even stepped on a sailboat before that. Now he's cruised through the Bahamas, the Chesapeake, and half the Med. He told me, "Starting late just means I don't waste time. I savor every single day." Stories like that remind us that the real limit isn't age, it's fear. And once you push past that, the sea is wide open. Safety's always important in sailing. But when you're starting at 60, it deserves a little extra attention. Not because you're frail, but because smart sailing is good sailing. And the more you prepare, the more confident and relaxed you'll feel out there. First off, make sure you're your boat's systems are reliable. Check the rigging, engine, radio, and safety gear regularly. Have a good anchor setup and learn how to use it. Always wear a life jacket when solo or in rough weather. No shame in that, only smarts. Take a basic first aid course if you haven't already, and keep meds and emergency contacts on board just in case. Also, make weather your friend. Use forecasts, plan conservative routes, and avoid pushing into heavy conditions unless you've built up the experience. Sailing with a buddy, even occasionally, adds another layer of safety and fun. And if you do sail solo, tell someone your float plan. It's simple and smart. Above all, respect the sea but don't fear it. A cautious sailor with a good head on their shoulders is safer at 60 than a reckless one at 30. Sailing doesn't just get you out of the house, it gets you out of your head. And that's something a lot of us need by the time we hit 60. After years of stress, noise, and responsibility, there's something healing about the quiet focus that sailing demands. When you're trimming sails, reading the sky, or dropping anchor, your mind isn't on taxes, politics, or aches and pains. It's on the moment. And that presence, the here and now, is like therapy. It's the kind of peace most people spend years searching for. There's also a huge boost in confidence. Learning a new skill at 60 gives you a sense of purpose. It keeps your brain sharp, your memory fresh, and your problem-solving muscles strong. It's a kind of mental fitness you can't get from crosswords or TV. And let's not forget the joy. There's pure, childlike joy in gliding over water, catching the wind, and watching the sun dip below the horizon. It fills your tank in ways nothing else quite does. At a time when many feel the world narrowing, sailing opens it up. Your mental world expands with every nautical mile, and that's a beautiful thing. So, is 60 too old to start sailing? Not even close. If anything, it might just be the perfect time. You've got the wisdom, the freedom, and maybe for the first time in your life, the time to chase something that's all yours. Sailing isn't about how old you are. It's about how alive you feel when the wind hits your face and the water stretches out in every direction. So, if this dream's been tugging at you, don't wait. Hoist the sail. Take the helm. Your next great adventure might be just one sunrise away.